Welcome everyone to today's webinar on how to find a surrogate. My name is Bram from GoSurrogacy.com, and today I'm being joined by Emily Field of FieldFertility. FieldFertility is a legal business based in LA, representing surrogates, egg donors, embryo donors, and intended parents. Today, Emily will share with us her insights and considerations on how to find a surrogate. So let me try and add Emily to the webinar. Hi, Emily.
Hi, Bram. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be here today.
You're very welcome. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay, great.
Great. So yeah, you prepared a presentation for us?
Yeah. All right. Well, good morning or good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're logging in from around the world. I'm in Los Angeles, California. So thank you again, Bram and Go Surrogacy, for this opportunity to join here today. You know, it really feels so good to be able to talk with you all about how to find a surrogate. I've been in your shoes. My husband and I have been in your shoes. And, you know, we're really just thankful and blessed to be able to share our experiences and give back and hopefully help others on their road to their miracle baby. So Bram, if you want to flip to the next one.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, great. So a little bit more about me. It took us 3 years to get our baby. We had no idea when we were trying to conceive that we wouldn't be able to just have a baby on our own, the old-fashioned way, the traditional way. And we had no idea the obstacles and hurdles and challenges and emotionals up and downs that we would go through to have our daughter. So after 3 years, we did finally get her via surrogacy. When our fertility doctor mentioned surrogacy to us, I couldn't even wrap my head around it. It's the best way to explain it. It's like, what? How am I supposed to trust another woman to carry my baby? How do I find a surrogate? What do I look for in her? Who are the type of women who would do this? It just was incredible to me that there were women out there who would carry your own baby. So after 3 years, surrogacy did work for us. And these are just a few photos just to show that, you know, I've been in your shoes and have come out the other side, thank goodness. So on the left, you'll see there's a photo of me carrying the growing in my heart sign and our surrogate. She was about 8 months pregnant. And we did a maternity photo shoot with her, and we captured some really beautiful photos. The one in the middle is right after our daughter was born. We were in the hospital room. We saw her born. We cut the cord, and you can just see my face is just in total disbelief, shock, love, overwhelmed. I really could not believe that this had happened. And then the picture on the right is about 12 hours after our daughter was born, and you know, the look on my face is just total awe. And our daughter's 2.5 years old now, and I still look at her like that. And I'm just so thankful to our surrogate, this incredible woman that we found who helped us get our miracle. So Bram, if you want to flip to the next one.
Yep.
All right. So just a little bit more about me, and then I'll stop talking and I'll get into the meat of it. About 1.5 years ago, my husband, Greg, the handsome man you see in those photos there, and we launched FieldFertility, which is a legal and consulting business, as Bram mentioned at the beginning of the webinar. This was our way to take our professional backgrounds and help and take our experiences and do something with it. So my husband, Greg, is the attorney, and I run the business. We represent intended parents like you listening today, surrogates, donors on the legal aspects of surrogacy. And we also do consulting and provide some one-on-one services to help navigate you getting started with surrogacy. Okay, so enough about me and all of that. I just did want to mention that because I want you to, you know a little bit more about who I am. So today we're going to talk about 3 main ways to find a surrogate. So I'm not sure exactly where you're at in the process. Maybe you are just, okay, we need a surrogate and how do I go about it? Maybe you've had a friend come to you and say, I'd love to be your surrogate. So today we're going to talk about 3 ways. The first being through a surrogacy agency. The second being independent, meaning on your own, you found someone, in the example I just gave, through a friend, or you just go find somebody on your own without an agency. And the third being through a surrogate search firm or concierge service. These are people and companies who go out on your behalf to different agencies and find a surrogate for you. Okay, so before we talk about those three, Bram, if you can flip to the next one. I do think it's really important that we talk about some of the basic surrogate requirements. Like, who are these women? Who can be a surrogate? So this is a great chart from All Things Surrogacy. It's a great resource out there in the surrogacy community. And they just highlight some of the basic requirements of who these women are, everything from their age. It says here 21 to 42 years old. The one right to the right of it, I'm not going to go up and down items 1 through 10. So I'm going to go to item 5 on the right, that she has carried her own baby or babies to term successfully, uncomplicated pregnancies. So a lot of women who are surrogates have completed their family or feel content with the number of children they have, because with any pregnancy, there's always risk associated with maybe the chance that she can't carry again. So these are women who have had at least one full-term, healthy, uncomplicated pregnancy. They loved being pregnant. So that is an essential requirement of being a surrogate. We've had people come to us to say, oh, I have my cousin said she would do it. My aunt said she would do it, but she's never had children. Nope. Surrogates have to be proven. And it's essential and really important for you. And most fertility doctors will not work with a woman who has, or the really good fertility doctors won't work with a woman who has not had her own children. So just going down, and I'm going to kind of point out some of the other ones. The number of C-sections, if she had them, that's a consideration. She needs to have a stable home, family life, support around her. It's very, very important that this woman has a community and has the support and isn't just on her own out there, and that there is help and support for her child or children that she has. Some of the other ones, BMI is a big consideration. So I would recommend with all of this that one of the first steps you do before going out and finding your surrogate is to talk to your fertility doctor and ask him or her, what are your basic requirements? What are the BMI could be different, etc. So talk to your doctor about what he or she wants in general, as well as for you and your specific journey. Some of the other ones that maybe I will mention, obviously, she can't be abusing drugs and smoking and all of that. No mental health conditions. Surrogates will have to go through psychological testing and assessment, as well as if she's married, she will have to do that too. So these are just some of the basic requirements. Some of the things that aren't on here that I do want to mention is the surrogate's desire. So why does this woman want to be a surrogate? Does she want to do it for the money? Well, then she is not a good surrogate. So the money aspect of it, obviously it's a motivator, obviously it's a consideration and a component, but it should not be the main motivator. And the good agencies out there screen this, and they find the women who are doing this because these are women who love being pregnant. They love being moms, and they can't imagine not being a parent, and they can give back and do that. Our incredible surrogate, she has 2 beautiful children of her own. She was done having children. She wanted to be pregnant again, and she wanted to help and give back and help another family. That is who these women are. So, there's obviously the age and her type of pregnancies and her BMI. Those are really important, but also the motivation is a really, really big aspect to this. All right, Bram, if you want to head to the next one.
Yep.
Thanks. So this is something that a lot of people really don't know about. I certainly wasn't aware of the full scope of surrogacy laws. So surrogacy is different in every state and every country around the world. And it's really, really important that you understand this when you are finding a surrogate. So, for example, this is another great, I just pulled up a map. You can Google surrogacy laws by state and you'll find a lot of different information. But again, I was just sticking with All Things Surrogacy, and they have this great map that you'll see here in front of you, where it talks about the prime states. So these are the prime states where surrogacy is legal. You could do the birth orders, etc. So California, for example. So that's where I live. And our surrogate was from California. That was a must-have for us. So something that we wanted for the legal aspects of it, and the proximity made us feel that much better about it. There's other, good prime states, Oregon and Nevada. But for example, maybe you're listening today and you live in New York. You'll see that New York is a no-go state. Surrogacy is illegal there. So you will need to have a surrogate in another state, ideally a prime state or one of these good states. The best way to learn a little bit more is to find a assisted reproduction attorney from a state that you might be interested in. So for example, maybe your cousin or your aunt in that example I was just giving lives in a different state than you, and she says she'll be your surrogate. It's critical that you understand the laws there to see if you even want to work with a surrogate in that state. So I'm not going to go through too much more about this. I just want to make you aware, because every week I talk to prospective intended parents about surrogacy. And this is something that nobody is aware of, about the laws and different, everything that's different everywhere around the country and around the world. So I do want to mention that. One other thing is that there are a lot of other legal considerations part of surrogacy in general, aside from finding a surrogate. So I did just want to give a quick, shout out and mention that. My husband, Greg, does free consults that he talks to prospective intended parents all the time about the legal aspects of surrogacy. So if you would love to speak with him, we would love to speak with you. It's probably best to just email me, and we will set it up for you. So Emily@FieldFertility.com, and we can get you set up with Greg so you can learn a little bit more about it. But let's get back to the surrogacy requirements. So Bram, if you want to head to the next one. All right, and Bram, let me know if I'm going too fast or anything. Trying to give an overall highlight of it.
There's a lot of good information. I mean, we'll have a Q&A at the end, but okay. just to come back to the surrogate requirements and yeah, especially when you're considering to do this on your own, how do you go about screening potential surrogates on your own?
Perfect. Let's hold that for 1 minute. I'm going to get to that. Is that okay?
Excellent. No problem.
Okay, cool. Okay, don't forget it. If I miss your question, let me know.
Sure.
Okay, so we just talked about, again, like I said, the basic requirements of surrogates and who gets approved to be a surrogate, who gets cleared. They're going to have a medical screening of a fertility doctor, the psychological components of it. There's a criminal background check. There's all these things that happen. But something that I talk to prospective intended parents about is, what are your must-haves with your surrogate? So this is a time for you to really think about that. So for example, are you okay if she's single or if she's married? Does she work full-time? Does she not? Does any of that really matter to you? Just something to think about, because people have different preferences for that. The kind of relationship that you want to have with her throughout the pregnancy as well as after. Now, I understand you might not fully know that right now. And especially if you're going the route of through an agency or concierge that's helping you, you won't know who this woman is ahead of time. So obviously the relationship will develop, but it's something to think about. What kind of contact you want during? Are you okay with, one phone call a week from her with updates? Do you want to text every day? What do you want afterward? Do you see being a part of each other's lives? Are you not interested in that? So definitely something really important to think about. You'll see the image of the plane versus the car. So we talked about where she lives in terms of state-wise and legal-wise. But another thing that I want you to think about is the type of experience and pregnancy, because you are pregnant too in a different kind of way, that you are looking for. Do you want to attend all the appointments? Are you okay? And do you, only really care about attending the main appointments? Are you okay with Skype or FaceTime into the doctor's appointments? So this all depends. This will go to, do you want to be able to drive to where your surrogate is? Because second trimester, third trimester, she is released to her fertility doctor, and she will deliver at her hospital near where she lives. So you will have to drive and or fly to where she is. So it's good to think about do you have work flexibility to be able to do that? Let's say you do have to fly. Do you have some of the extra finances to be able to afford that? Also, when the baby's born, hopefully baby's full term, but if the baby's in the NICU, you have to be nearby. So that is something for you to think about in terms of your must-haves and what you're looking for. And last but certainly not least, and one of the most important aspects about surrogacy is for you to know exactly how you feel about abortion and reduction, and to then ensure that your surrogate and her partner, husband, support person feels the exact same way as you. Whatever your beliefs are, whether they're liberal, conservative, doesn't matter, that everybody is totally on the same page. Okay, so now that we kind of have a framework for who these women are, and then again, what you're looking for, now let's jump into the three types. So Bram, if you want to head to the next slide. Okay, so the first one is through a surrogacy agency. So full disclosure, we worked with a surrogacy agency to find our surrogate. Just want to mention that. We had a great experience. We found the most amazing surrogate that way. For us, I honestly at the time, didn't even know there was another way or another option to find a surrogate. But we are so thankful and so happy that we did go down this road. We felt we had a team of professionals around us should, God forbid, anything go wrong. So just want to mention that. But I'm going to talk about all three objectively because I know everybody's in a different situation and I want this to be as informative for you as possible. But I did want to disclose that. So with the surrogacy agency, you are hiring an agency to find you a surrogate. The agency will do all of the screening, and every agency does this differently. So it's something you want to look into. So they will do the screening, they will meet with you and figure out your must-haves. So again, what we were speaking about, what you're looking for, to be able to match you with a surrogate. The surrogacy agency is then there to support you throughout the pregnancy, to be of support to the surrogate. Most of them do monthly support groups and have that available to your surrogate and the delivery, etc. So the surrogacy agency is a vital role, critical role at the beginning, as well as throughout the pregnancy. And you are paying them to be of that service to you. So now you might be asking, how do I find a surrogate agency? I'd say that there are two main ways to go about finding a surrogacy agency. And ultimately, my recommendation would be that you come up with a list of 3 to 5 agencies that you're going to look into. So the first way to go about finding an agency is to talk to your fertility doctor. He or she may have a list of agencies that he or she has worked with. She or he may be able to, knowing your situation, say this agency might be better, etc. So talk to your fertility doctor, get a list from him or her. The other way is to talk to the me's of the world. So whether it's through a friend of a friend of a friend who maybe used a surrogate, feel free to reach out to me too. We'll get to that at the end about a service that I have to offer you guys today. But, we can also help talk to you and tell you some great agencies that are out there for you to look at. So again, you want to come up with a list of like 3 to 5, I'd recommend, and then you want to research them. And I would recommend contacting all of them to set up a consultation. So see who replies back to you, see who gets back to you timely, see how you feel about all of them. And my next recommendation would be that you if you can't meet with them in person, to Skype with them or FaceTime with them. Surrogacy is so personal. And it's really important that you feel a good connection with your agency, and that agency gets to know you and who you are and what you're looking for and your journey to your baby, to really be able to support you and find you that perfect surrogate. So, Bram, were you going to say something?
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Good. I thought I heard something. So, and then you're going to want to come up with, let's say, a list of questions to ask all the agencies so that you can compare all of them. So now you might be asking, well, what questions do I possibly ask? If you head to our website, FieldFertility.com, go to resources, you'll see there's a free surrogacy agency questionnaire that we put together. Type your email in and it'll be sent to you. So definitely go ahead and do that. The questionnaire is really comprehensive. And it's meant to be that way, to just give you an idea of the types of questions to ask. But obviously, some of your must-haves that you will want to ask every agency that you're interviewing is, how does the agency find their surrogates? How do they screen them? So like I said, all the agencies do this a little bit differently at different parts. So you'll want to find out all the different screenings that they do, see what you feel comfortable with. And again, how they go ahead and match you, what that looks like, how they do that. There's, again, a lot of other questions you can ask, but those are really some of the really important ones that I recommend you do. So again, hopefully that I'm kind of just breezing through this quickly, but so with a surrogacy agency, put together a list, contact them, talk to them visually in person or by Skype or FaceTime, whatever works best. Come up with those questions, and then from there, see who you feel really, really good about. You know, they all have different ways that you pay them, so you'll want to talk about that and see what you feel really good about. Okay, let's move on to the second way you can find a surrogate. Next slide. So on your own. So meaning independent. Maybe you've had a friend or sister-in-law, cousin, aunt, etc. come to you and say, I'd love to be your surrogate. I know your situation. I know what's going on. First of all, that is incredible. All surrogates are angels. But, you know, so I can see that from, you know, if I had my sister, which I don't have a sister, but my best friend actually did come to me and say she would be my surrogate. And I was blown away. She wasn't done having her own children, and I'd have to wait a few years. So it just wasn't right for many reasons, which is why we went down the agency route. But, you know, I can see that you just want to say yes right away. But it's really important. And Bram, you know, this goes to your question of how critical it is that you go through all of the screenings that an agency would do on a surrogate. So the background checks, even if it is your sister, it doesn't matter. All the medical screenings, all the psychological, everything that would go into it. So I want to take a moment and mention that there are agencies, there are consultants who will help do some of this pre-screening for you. Then they won't be of support to you throughout the pregnancy, but they do that. So if that's something that you're interested in, there are resources out there to help you do that. I know many people who have, you know, had a friend or a friend of a friend or a sister be their surrogate, and they've done so very successfully. But it's critical that you do not skip a step. And, you know, we've had a lot of people say to us, but, you know, my sister-in-law said she would do it, and I don't want to have to do, you know, make her go through background checks or talk to a therapist. It just feels uncomfortable. It's so sweet that she's willing to do this for me. I don't want to inconvenience her in any way. So we hear that a lot. And what we say back is, because she is your sister-in-law, it is that much more important that you do not miss a step here and really, really determine if this truly is the right fit. And seeing a very, very good surrogate therapist, somebody who specializes in this and meets with all parties to really go through those tough questions. So let's say, you know, that's through somebody you know, but on the other hand, you go, you know what, I don't want to work with an agency for whatever reason. It's too expensive. I hear that a lot. I'm going to pause there. I still tell people to interview agencies, because most of the agencies are really great people who want to help and want to help you. So don't just assume it's too expensive, so I can't use an agency. You never know what they might be able to work out for you or what kind of support they can be for you. So don't just say, I'm not going to do it. I still would talk to them. But then if you decide still, I'm not going to use an agency and it's not my sister, but I want to find somebody on my own. There are several different ways that you can go about doing this. So we've seen people post in groups on Facebook about their journey and what they're looking for. We've seen people do mass emails out to their networks. And again, going back to some of the first things I talked about, you know, in the email, it might say, this is our journey, blah, 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 blah. We need a woman who's this age, has had her own children, uncomplicated pregnancies, lives in this state or in, you know, X number of miles from where we live, you know, beliefs about abortion, you know, they kind of list what they are looking for. And we've seen people be really inspired and share that out, they get an email and share it out. And so there are different ways that you can go about on your own doing it. But like I said, it's critical that you do everything necessary. And talk to your fertility doctor too. Say, I know somebody, or I found somebody, or it's my sister, and see what he or she says about it. Okay, let's head to the third way that you can help find your own surrogate. So there are search firms out there. There are consultants, there are concierges who will do all the legwork for you. So you would hire this firm, this person, and talk to them again about everything that you're looking for in a surrogate. And they, or he or she, would go out to their network of agencies and find you a surrogate. So it's different than you interviewing agencies, picking an agency, finding your surrogate. This is more you're picking your surrogate and then the agency that comes with that surrogate. So in that instance, you will still want to feel good about the agency that comes with your surrogate, but doing this, you are more finding your surrogate. When you go this route, it can considerably decrease your wait time to find a surrogate. So also with doing this, you're going to spend a little bit more money because you're going to pay for the search firm and then the agency. So it really depends on your situation of, do you have, financial means to do it? Have you been waiting a really, really long time and you just really want to find a surrogate in the next few weeks versus a few months? Do you just not have the time to interview all the agencies, and really what's most important to you is finding that great surrogate? Then this could be a really good viable option for you. And definitely, if you're going to be interviewing or researching 3 to 5 surrogate agencies, let's say, I'd add a search firm into it and speak to them and find out how they work and, how successful they think they can be finding you your ideal surrogate. So Bram, the next slide again, it's just talking about doing your research. So, obviously it goes without saying, but you want to talk to all of the right parties as you go to do this. Do your research, look up the laws by state, think about what you're really looking for, look at surrogacy agencies online, try to find people that have been through this, that are open about their story and are really willing to help and give back. So hopefully that information has been really helpful to you guys today. Bram, are you able to go back to the slide in 2 slides from now?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So one of the things that I did want to mention, and now we're going to get into Q&A, and Bram and I can have a dialogue about this, is I do one-on-one consulting to really help take a lot of this information and get you to that next place and help navigate for you. We talk on the phone, we go through agencies, we review the questions. If you're doing it on your own, we talk about, again, the necessary steps. I try to see myself as a connector, and, personally going through all this and now professionally being in the field, helping connect you to really get you going and get you started, because I understand it's overwhelming. We ended up interviewing a few agencies. It was really hard to figure out who to go to, which agencies to interview, what to do, what not to do, what was I looking for. So I do want to provide that to you and mention it to you. And then Bram, if you go to the next slide. Normally this package is $297, but I love Bram and I love Go Surrogacy and wanted to offer it to everybody listening today for $97. So it's a great opportunity to talk to me and go through a lot of the stuff that we talked about. So all you have to do is email me, Emily@FieldFertility.com today, and we will get you scheduled to do that. So enough of that about me. I do want to now open it up to Q&A and see what other questions you guys might have. Thanks, Bram.
Thank you so much, Emily. That was really really a lot of information, but a lot of good information, I think.
Good.
And like you say, it's from start to finish, the whole journey can become very overwhelming because there's so much to consider, right? From the moment you decide to start with surrogacy until, well, after the delivery, there's a lot coming at you, and it can certainly be overwhelming. What I found very interesting, you mentioned about finding out what's the surrogate's desire, what's her reasoning for doing it, right?
Right.
And I mean, personally, I think this is very important as well, because it really defines the relationship you'll be having with your surrogate as well. So, you know, based on her motivation, it can really impact on the relationship you'll have, or the relationship you want with your surrogate. So I don't know if you, from your experience, how was that for you?
Yeah. So what we loved about the surrogate agency that we worked with, and ultimately what we heard different from them versus the others. Now, the others, I believe, also do this, but it just really struck a chord with us, is how they screen their surrogates. And our agency said that if one of the first number of questions in their interview and screening process of a surrogate is about money, they rule them out. Mm. So that made us, and I believe we work with a lot of really great agencies, and they also do this too, but just at the time, I didn't really know that. Now I know it, being years in and working with a lot of great agencies. But that helped us feel good about the motivation. You know, also our surrogate had a great profile talking about her family and the kind of relationship she wanted and her motivation for wanting to do this. So we felt good about how our agency screened the surrogate, to know that they were finding women who had that right motivation. They've been in the field long enough. They, you know, I think it's like 8 or 9 of 10 surrogates that apply, mm-hmm. They don't take them. So, you know, we felt really good about that. And again, that goes to asking the agency the right questions and seeing what you feel good about. But like I said, you know, our surrogate is incredible, and she wanted to be pregnant again, loved being pregnant, and wanted to be able to do this for a family. So mm-hmm. Those are the kinds of women that you're looking for. And there are a ton of them out there.
Sure. And how long did it take you to get matched, Emily, with your surrogate?
That's a good question. So, you know, that's one of the questions you'll want to ask your agency, is the wait period to be matched. So, you know, you're obviously not the only intended parent or intended parents working with that agency. So for us, it took about 4 months. We got presented with one surrogate who ultimately wasn't a right fit for us. And then it was about at 5 months that we found Melissa. But that was now years ago. And I know that our particular agency has a much less, like a shorter wait time. Also, if you go down the concierge or consultant route, that can also just be a few weeks. So I'd say it's anywhere from a few weeks to a few months. And also just depends on your situation. So for us, it took us years. And while we were so anxious, I also really came to peace, and, you know, of course, I'm like, find me a surrogate now. Why do I have to wait a few months? But I really wanted that right person. And if that meant we had to wait a little bit longer, so be it. You know, Bram, as you were saying, surrogacy is scary. It's overwhelming. And we wanted to feel really good about who this woman was. For us, it was a stranger. You know, we didn't use my best friend. There was nobody else in our community. It wasn't somebody I knew. So my husband and I were like, okay, you know what? We want this now. Yes, we've waited forever, but we are willing to wait a little bit. So for us, that's how long it took. But, you know, everybody has different experiences. So, and today is very different in the surrogacy world than it was a few years ago in terms of the women and the intended parents out there doing this.
Exactly. And you of course, you want to be confident you're making the right choice. And of course, your surrogate has to feel confident that she, you know, wants to contribute to your life in a way. And I suppose with selecting an agency, it comes down to the same thing. You're going to be, you know, working together with the agency for, you know, quite a while. So right. You want to feel confident that they are up for the job and that they will, you know, do their best. And I would, you know, adding to your points, I would definitely say if you have an opportunity to go and meet them, do so. Set up a meeting, and often they'll be presenting themselves at conferences, exhibitions, seminars, those type of events.
Yeah.
And also for international intended parents, usually, if you're considering the US, usually they will come over to Europe to come and meet prospective parents. So definitely make use of that opportunity.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. So in terms of choosing the agency, what were for you the main points that made you decide to go with that agency?
So again, as we were talking about how they screened was really important to us. A lot of them do it very similar, but yet some of them do it different in different orders. So some will have a fully pre-screened surrogate before they ever introduce you to her. Others will have done some preliminary screening. You get to meet her, and then they'll finish doing the screening. So it depends. So that's, on an agency side, but for us, we liked the screening that happened. We liked knowing we had a team of professionals around us throughout the whole thing. Should, like I said, God forbid anything go wrong on any side, because, it's a woman in her life and she's carrying your baby and you don't know what she's doing all day long. And, anything can happen. Hopefully nothing does. We wanted to keep our surrogate in a bubble and protect her the whole time, but ultimately you really can't do that. So, for us, proximity was important. So we wanted to work with an agency that had surrogates in the area we were looking at, that they have, a number of matches that they've done. So that was also important to us. As I said at the beginning, I talk to, and Greg does too, we talk to prospective intended parents all the time. We put our professional hats on, we put our personal hats on. We've become really open about our story, and we consider ourselves ambassadors in the field of infertility, surrogacy, IVF, assisted reproduction, etc. And, we feel so blessed that we have really been able to help a lot of other individuals and couples navigate their road to a baby through assisted reproduction. It's not easy, it's challenging, it's expensive, it's overwhelming. Be the most beautiful thing ever too. So if there's any way that we can be of help and be of support, we are here. Please email us, check out our website, follow us on social media. FieldFertility, pretty easy, it's our last name. We are here for you.
And of course, if anyone has questions, feel free to post them in our Facebook group or contact Emily directly. And I'm sure she'll be happy to answer any of your questions.
Yes, absolutely. And, Bram, thanks for this opportunity. I think it's so great that you put on these kinds of webinars and that we can disseminate this information out there to really help, make it not so scary and help people take one foot in front of the other on their road to their baby.
Thank you so much for your contribution today.
Absolutely.
And thank you to everyone who attended today. And we'll see you at the next webinar. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye.